Fulfillment doesn't magically show up the day you stop working. As a matter of fact, some people never find it.
If you want a retirement that actually feels meaningful, here's the honest advice no one will give you.
You know, when we retired, when we had our first day, that Monday, December 30th, 2018, it was a good day. Actually, the weekend was a great weekend. We celebrated. We took the family out to dinner that Saturday night in Rye at the steak restaurant.
Frankie and Johnny's.
Frankie and Johnny's. Ordered steak for everyone, a couple of bottles of Camus wine. It was really good. It was a great night. We really celebrated like we should have celebrated. And then Monday came and went, and Tuesday came and went, and Wednesday came and went. And one day after another, it started to get boring. It started to feel a little bit like, isn't there more?
Well, in all honesty, we owned a home at the time that was built in 1780.
Yeah.
So that old home started to consume us, I would say. For the first 2 weeks, there were so many projects that we had to do around the house that we kept putting off, like cleaning the lanterns outside, for example, or power washing all the furniture, or what was December?
Resetting the mouse traps.
Resetting the mouse traps because it was a house built in 1780. So we kind of got consumed, working on the honey-do lists that we had created over all the years.
And part of that feels good,
Part of that does feel good. That's what I was getting at,
okay. Yeah, part of that feels good, but then the list starts getting smaller, and you're kind of like, now we're making things up.
Right. And then after that list got so small, or there were some tasks on there we couldn't do, we had to actually call people as professionals. Then we started to find that we were stretching, like really stretching things that we used to do on our lunch hour or things we used to do Saturday morning. For example, grocery shopping became this monumental task. We used to fly in on two wheels without a list, pick up the food that we needed, go home, cook it, get up the next day, rinse and repeat. Now all of a sudden it was, I needed a list or I couldn't go. And then I was there for a couple hours and, we stretched activities to fill the time.
Yeah, and it really wasn't until we started learning, we started spending time discovering and thinking about what we could do next. Because we're both, I think, very young. I'm now 68, so I was 60 at the time, 61. You were 60, you were 52 at the time.
Right.
So we entered this phase at a young age. Young age because people now live so much older. So even at 68, I fully plan on living to 100. That's still a lot of time left. So thinking that fulfillment is just going to show up, it won't. And, the first lesson that we want to talk about today is fulfillment is discovered. It doesn't just show up on its own.
And I think that, you have a friend that we've recently reconnected with, and he's in retirement. He's a solo retiree, still has a daughter in college and, another child, who's graduated from college. But, this idea that fulfillment is built, not discovered. He has worked really hard to build fulfillment into his day, but he came to us because it only got him till 1 p.m.
Yeah.
All he could build started from 7 in the morning. He made it to 1 p.m. And then there was this dead time between 1 p.m. and dinner time that he really didn't know what to do. So the thing I would say about fulfillment being built is, you almost have to build it, a morning fulfillment, a midday, an afternoon, and then you've got your evening. What are you going to anchor into place? Because these small choices that you make will really add up to meaning, which will then equal fulfillment as you get through the day.
Yeah, I was going to say the same thing. I think that if you can anchor a few things in every morning that are meaningful, added together, you now feel like you have some purpose and you feel like you've got fulfillment. If you're just taking each day as it comes, then you end up drifting. And there's nothing worse than retirement drift, which is what we call is the big problem we're trying to solve for everyone, including ourselves, is this feeling of being adrift.
Right.
And fulfillment makes you feel like you did during your career. Whether you liked your job or not, or loved your job or not, you had fulfillment because you got stuff done. You checked things off. You had people around you. You had teams. You had whoever you reported to or that reported up to you, you were getting some things done. So I think that thinking that it just shows up is wrong. You've got to spend time at it.
I think the missing link in retirement through all the teaching, through all the reading that we've done is, retirement has to be intentional. Your days have to be intentional. Your relationships have to be intentional. Your finances are certainly intentional. So you have to take that intentionality through your, building this purpose.
Right. Hey, there's a link below in the notes, and it's for our free journaling guide. It's about 6, 7, 8 pages long, and it's something that Jody and I both do. But spending some time journaling every morning or once a week or whatever it might be for you is really a good skill to learn to start to help you to figure out what is it I want to do in this phase of life besides just hang around and watch TV. So click the link below to get that download. All right, what's the second point we wanted to talk about
the second point is fulfillment actually comes from contribution, not consumption. You can travel, you can play golf, you can play pickleball, you can garden. If you're doing all that kind of in a silo of yourself, are you really contributing? And really, if your fulfillment's going to come from contribution, what skills do you have that you can contribute to the greater good of your family, your community, your state, wherever you are?
Well, golf, pickleball, and hobbies are fun. And you need to have fun in this phase of life because you didn't have time for it before. But they don't fill your soul. And I don't know whether your career, you filled your soul, but you still could put your head down at night and say, I did good today. I got some things done. When you lay down and all it is golf and pickleball, it's like, what did I really accomplish today? I had fun, which is great. Celebrate that. And you can have days of fun. But finding something that you can contribute to, something that's bigger than you, something where you're serving others, that is when your soul gets activated. And all of a sudden now you feel like a really useful, good human.
Yeah, and I think you can use those golf, pickleball, situations. If you're intentional, again, this word intentional, if you're intentional that you're there to play golf and have fun, but also to meet and connect with people, you can make it more fulfilling, but you have to do it with intention. I've met so many amazing women in my golf league here in New Jersey, and I've really worked hard to try to get to know them, to get to know their families, to get to know what they're all about, what they struggle with, what they love, all the things. And so that makes my golf feel fun and fulfilling because I'm filling my relationship bucket at the same time I'm enjoying myself.
It's funny. The third component of this we want to talk about is fulfillment is going to require some growth on your part. We are right in the beginning weeks of our 8-week masterclass that we started a couple weeks ago. And it's amazing to see the people in week 0 where we kind of did orientation. Now, week 1 was vitality and health. And this past week, we talked about
resilience, emotional resilience.
But the steps that people have taken from week 1 to week 2, where they're now growing, they're thinking, they're learning, they're stepping out of their comfort zone. They're doing little things like getting up in the morning and drinking a glass of water first and then walking, or going to the gym, even though they don't want to go to the gym. This all takes effort, intention, and growth. And for, Jody and I with this YouTube channel, we are reading books like mad to try to learn more about how to live a better life, how to live longer, health hacks and mental hacks. And we're benefiting from that, but you are too, because we're sharing all of that with you. But trying to find something that you can latch onto, that you find of interest, that you can learn and grow, and then share that knowledge with others.
Yeah, and I would say, it's important to pick things that really stretch you. When we first retired, and after we did the odds and ends around the house and the honey-do list, and we stretched everything we had to do into a whole day, I decided to go back to the University of Pennsylvania and get a certificate in applied positive psychology to learn more and to stretch myself. And at, 52 years old, I threw myself into a classroom with a bunch of, 19 to 21-year-olds. And it was a real stretch moment for me because I hadn't been back in school in many, many years. I was learning stuff through the psychology world and the applied positive psychology world that, I didn't know anything about. I wasn't a psych major. A lot of the kids that were in there were psych majors, so they had heard of all of these people before and read a lot of the books. So what I would say is, make a mental note each week. What am I doing to stretch myself? What am I doing to grow? What am I doing to learn more and be more? And I think it's really important.
And I would say that stretching and learning does not mean spending 4 hours a day on TikTok or Instagram watching reels. Yeah, you'll learn some stuff, but you're not really learning. You're just being stimulated and you get that dopamine rush, which is great. But then when you're done, you're like, oh, I'm exhausted now. We're talking about deep learning, reading a book, taking an online course, really studying about something that you could be passionate about. There's an article where I really need to post this in our community. He's 67. He's a graduate of LSU. And I don't know if that school's right.
That's right.
Okay.
Because
he practiced the
tuba
for I don't know how many years. He's now 63 or 67. He's on the marching band for LSU.
That was one of his life goals.
Yeah. I think he went there. But what a fantastic story about someone who now is hanging out with college kids and he's in the LSU marching band playing the tuba. I mean,
go Tigers.
Who wouldn't want to do that? Anyway, here's some questions our team put together. Okay. Hi, I'm Mike. I'm 68. Everyone tells me to stay busy. Busy's good. But I'm realizing busy doesn't equal feeling fulfilled. That's true. What should I actually focus on?
Yourself.
Okay, what do you mean by
That's
that?
What I would say. I would say, Mike, focus on yourself to determine what really fills your bucket. Because I think in work, whether you're leading teams, whether you're running your company, whether you're a line worker, whether you're a healthcare worker, it doesn't matter. Work was work and you did what you needed to do to fulfill the goals of the team. I think in this stage of life, until you know what your goals are, you're not going to really know what fills your bucket. So it starts with a vision and then some goals and then hankering down and getting the work done to make sure you're doing things that are fulfilling to you. So I say yourself. Focus on yourself.
I like that. Okay. This is Beth, 64 years old. I want to give back. That's great, but I'm not sure where to start. How do you figure out the right way to contribute? There are so many nonprofits, I'm sure, in your area, within a 5-minute drive or a 10-minute drive. I mean, maybe it's longer if you live out in the middle of nowhere, but so many organizations that need your help, even virtually. You don't have to actually go, but volunteering. Google in your area, volunteer opportunities in my town or whatever it might be. You'd be surprised how many organizations need your help. Even the local gym, a YMCA, they're filled with volunteers. You can work at the front desk. Maybe you can even get a paid job. But trying to find something that aligns with your values, if it's exercise, if it's health, if it's children, if it's seniors, there are so many opportunities for you to find fulfillment by volunteering in some of these organizations.
And I always think it's good to take a blank sheet of paper and write down all the things that you loved about your job, all the areas of your job that didn't feel like work, but you actually really liked it. Was it, setting up functions, event planning? Was it doing the books and, accounting? Was it spreadsheets? Was it cleaning things? What was it? And then start to categorize what is available in your area where you can contribute. Every nonprofit needs smart people on their boards. They all need smart volunteers. They need more hands in the pot, especially these days.
That was good. Okay. Hi, I'm Tom, 70 years old. I thought traveling would be enough, but I still feel restless. How do you find something deeper than just fun? We talked about that a little bit in this video. That golf and travel and pickleball are fun, but it doesn't connect with the soul. So to Jody's point, what are some of the things that you've done over the last 30 years that connected with your soul specifically? And I'm sure it's probably not doing a spreadsheet, but it could have been something in church. It could have been something in Little League when you were coaching a team. It could have been volunteering in a way, helping people, helping mentor younger men or women in your organization. But that's soulful. That feels like, gosh, I really helped that person. So what are some of those things you did in the past 10 or 20 or 30 years that you remember now? Like, I did that 3 different times and I had really good success and I liked it.
Yeah, and I would say, Tom, if you like travel, but it's not filling your full bucket, travel with a purpose. You know, there are a lot of nonprofits that you can travel overseas and build homes, build churches, build, synagogues, build schools. There's a lot of ways that you can incorporate fulfillment, I think, in travel if you travel for a purpose. Even traveling to learn more about history, learn more about history as it's written from another country, maybe in a time period that you already understand from an American perspective. So if you travel with a different purpose, I know for us, beach travel, traveling where you just go and like stretch out on a beach and you're there for a week or 10 days, that no longer does it for us.
No,
it really doesn't, because we've had experiences where we've had an opportunity to travel with a purpose. And that just feels a lot better.
And I'll share with you the name of an organization that Jody and I went to Central America 20 times. It's called Bridges to Community. And I think we'll put the link below in the video. And we haven't been on a trip in 6 or 7 years, but we went 20 times, and we went to Nicaragua and the Dominican Republic. And you're there for a week of travel, learning a lot about the culture, learning about how 80% of the world's population lives, but you're also building a home for a family that they actually help you build it, that are currently living in a 5th generation dirt floor shack with a tin roof and plastic walls. There's not really a better feeling than working on that house for a week and dedicate it to them on Friday when it's nearly 100% complete. So that is travel with a purpose. If you like this video, we appreciate that. Watch this one next. How to retire better than 99% of people. We had a lot of fun doing this video, and you're going to love all of the tips and ideas that we give you on how to retire better. Watch this next.